Hello. Make your way to a comfortable seated position. You don't need any props except a yoga mat for this sequence. However, there are a couple of poses where you may want to use blocks if you have them, but they're optional. In today's sequence, I invite you to practice with Satya in mind. Satya is about truthfulness or clarity. It's about seeing the world without any filter, seeing things just as they are, with complete clarity. You can think of a situation where you've witnessed an event with other people, and after the event, you might be talking about it, and we each have our own version of what happened. That's because we're adding our own filters to the story. But if you can remove the filter and be fully objective and see things really just as they are, that is Satya. So I invite you to practice yoga today with Satya in mind. Truly tap into how you're feeling. Be honest with yourself. If you think you should push yourself today because you always do, stop and listen and see if that really is the case today. Maybe it is. But just remove any filters and practice with complete clarity. There's a quote by TKV Desikachar. The ultimate goal of yoga is to always observe things accurately and therefore never act in a way that will make us regret our actions later. Let your hands rest comfortably on your knees or your legs. As you inhale, lengthen your spine, and as you exhale, release your hips and feet into the mat. Inhaling, fill your belly. Let your belly expand, open wide as you inhale. And then as you exhale, use your core and push your belly into your spine, releasing all the air on the exhale. And then inhale, push your belly out to expand your belly. And exhale. Isolate your abdominal muscles as you inhale and exhale. You're welcome to stay here, or as you inhale, reach your arms up. As you exhale, make fists and bring your arms back. Inhale, lift, and exhale, release. Do this a few times at your own pace, really focusing in on your core. Engaging your core. A couple more times. And release and breathe naturally. Uncross your legs and make your way onto tabletop. With your hands below, your wrists below your shoulders, knees below your hips. Take a nice big inhale, opening your chest and belly. Even here, as you inhale, expand your belly. And exhale, release. Couple more times. On your next exhale, lift your spine up, rounding your back. Breathe here. As you exhale, push your core into your spine to release every last bit of air out of your lungs. As you inhale, fill your belly. And now as you inhale, arch your back, expanding your belly. And exhale, round your back, contracting your belly. And the next time you come through a neutral spine, pause here and breathe. And now, staying in tabletop, as you inhale, reach your left arm out to the side and up. As you exhale, thread your hand between your right hand and knee without touching the mat. Reach your left arm under, just having your head and shoulder hover above the mat. Inhale, reach your arm up. Exhale, thread the hand through. And inhale, lift. And exhale through. Inhale, lift. And exhale. Couple more times. And this time, next time you thread the arm through, pause here. And then lower your hand to the mat. Inhaling, reach your right arm out to the side and up. Exhale, thread that arm through without touching the mat. Let your head and shoulder and hand hover. Inhale, lift. And exhale, thread. Lift. And thread. Keep going at your own pace, following your breath. And the next time the arm is thread through, shoulder and hand hovering, pause here. And then lower your hand to the mat, coming back to tabletop. Walk your knees together. Lift your right knee and touch your right elbow with your right knee. And lower it down. Left knee to left elbow. And down. And right. And down. And left. And down. Just move slowly through this, alternating each knee to each elbow. Try to keep your hips and shoulders steady. Engage your core. Reflect on how this feels and make adjustments throughout your practice. Honor what your body needs. Couple more times each side. And then pause here. Inhaling, arch your back, lowering your chest and belly. Exhale, round, stretching your spine. Move through here a couple of times. And then come back to a neutral spine and pause here. Walking your knees together. Straighten your right leg out behind you. Right heel same height as the right hip. Now lower that right hip so it's level with your left. Pause here. Notice the engagement in your core. Option to stay here or extend the left arm forward. Breathe. As you exhale, round your back, bring your elbow and knee to touch. Inhale, straighten the arm and leg. Exhale, bring them together. And straighten. Move through here slowly at your own pace. Let the movement follow your breath. And the next time the arm and leg are both extended, pause, breathe, and lower your hand and knee to the mat. Now straighten your left leg out behind you, left foot flexed, lower that left heel so it's level with the right, left heel same height as left hip. Option to extend the right arm forward. Breathe here. As you exhale, bring your elbow and knee together. Inhale, straighten your arm and leg. Exhale together. And straighten. And together. And straighten. Together. Keep moving through this at your own pace. And the next time the arm and leg are both straight, pause here. Lower your hand and knee to the mat. Place the tops of your feet on the mat and lower your hips over your heels. And resting your forehead maybe on the mat, or stack your fists and rest your forehead on your fists. And breathe. Always checking in with how you feel, observing your body without any filter. Be true to what your body needs. Place both hands on the mat. Lift your hips up over your knees. Tuck your toes. Lift your knees up off the mat and walk your feet forward to your hands. And fold forward. Knees can be slightly bent. If you prefer, you can rest your forearms on your thighs, depending on how your low back feels. Or fold forward. Hands might dangle, or rest on blocks, or maybe on the mat. If your knees are bent, keeping your spine reasonably straight, work towards straightening one knee, maybe the other, perhaps both. And fold. It's not about going deeper into the pose. Well, it sort of is, but it's only about going deeper into the pose while keeping your spine straight in Uttanasana. Better to have your knees bent than straight knees with a rounded back. Keep a nice straight spine and then play with working towards straightening your knees. Inhaling, reach your arms out to the side. Slowly rise to standing. Arms up over your head. Palms together at your heart. And release. Inhaling, reach your arms up over your head. Soften your shoulders, lower them away from your ears. Bending your knees slightly. Engage your core. Keep your spine straight and just hinge at the hips. As you exhale, fold forward. Notice the engagement in the core. Now use that same engagement as you inhale to come halfway up. Support that nice straight spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale all the way up to standing, engaging your core. Exhale, palms together at your heart. And release. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Breathe here. Place both hands on the mat. Each wrist is shoulder width apart. Each wrist crease is parallel to the front of the mat. Step one foot straight back and then the other. Starting off in plank pose, you always have the option to have your knees on or off the mat. You can change that any time throughout your practice. Engage your core to lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. You're aiming for a straight line between your wrists, shoulders, and hips, Knees might always be bent for some in downward facing dog. For others, maybe you can straighten the legs if your hamstrings will cooperate. Engaging the core, try to isolate just your abs to come forward to plank pose. Breathe here. Lift your hips back up and back to downward facing dog. And breathe. As you exhale, come forward to plank. Knees on or off the mat. And up and back to downward facing dog. Now for this next pose, you're welcome to stay right in downward facing dog. Or, keeping your hands right where they are, roll onto the outside of your left foot. The right foot might stay straight, or you can step the right foot in front. An option to reach the right arm up. And then lower your right hand down, come back, lifting your hips up and back to downward facing dog. And now, roll onto the outside of your right foot, letting your left foot follow, or step the left foot in front and reach the left arm up. Lower your left hand down and lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees and walk your feet forward to your hands and fold forward. Think of lifting your hips up higher, and then as you exhale, fold a little more deeply. Inhaling, reach your arms out to the side all the way to standing, arms up over your head, palms together at your heart, and release. Inhaling, reach your arms up over your head. Exhale, engage your core to fold forward. Really concentrate on those core muscles. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, use that core to fold forward. Place both hands on the mat and step back to plank pose. Pause here. Lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Option 1 is to stay in downward facing dog. Or of course you can always rest in child's pose when you need to. Walk your feet together. Lift your right leg up in the air behind you. This is option 2, three-legged dog. Option 3 is to bend that right knee, bring it forward, and touch the elbow. Lift it back up. And now round your back, bring the knee forward, and touch your nose. Lift the leg back up. And now bring that right knee across and touch your left elbow. And then back up to downward facing dog. Lower that foot. Lower the knees to the mat. Come onto the tops of the feet. Lower your hips over your heels. And take a couple of breaths in child's pose. Breathe. And let go. Reflecting with true honesty what you need throughout your practice. You can always adapt it and give your body exactly what it needs. Place both hands on the mat, coming back through tabletop. And walk your hands forward, one hand forward. And that just gets us ready for downward facing dog. Tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Make any micro adjustments that you need. So option 1 is to stay right here or rest in child's pose. Option 2, walk your feet together. Lift your left leg up in the air behind you. Maybe staying here or coming back to downward facing dog. Option 3, bend that left knee and bring it forward and touch the left elbow. Back to three-legged dog. Bring that knee forward and touch the nose. And up and back. And engaging the core, bring that knee forward and touch the right elbow. And then back to three-legged dog. Lower that foot to the mat and walk your feet forward to your hands and fold forward. Breathe here. Inhaling, reach your arms out to the side. Come all the way to standing. Arms up over your head. Palms together at your heart. And release. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold. Breathe here. Inhaling, come halfway up. Nice flat back. Shoulders are soft, but shoulders back. Nice straight spine. Exhale, fold. Place both hands on the mat and step back to plank pose. Pause here. And lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Bend your right knee and step your right foot forward between your hands. You can adjust your left foot over to the left slightly if you need to balance. Look straight ahead. Inhaling, reach your arms up. Deepen the lunge. Be mindful that your right knee and foot are pointed in the same direction. And think of bringing that left hip forward so your hips are parallel to the front of the mat. Maybe deepen the lunge. Engage the core, and so draw the belly and rib cage in. Take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, make fists and lower your hands down. Elbows back. Inhale, lift, and exhale. Bring the hands down. As you exhale, use your abs to push all the air out. Inhale, lift, and exhale. Inhale, lift, and exhale down. Couple more times. Inhale, lift, exhale, down. Up, and down. One last time. Up, and exhale, down, and breathe. Hold here. Slowly lower both hands to either side of the right foot and step it back to beside the left. Pause here. Lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bend your left knee and step your left foot forward between your hands. Again, you can adjust your right foot out to the right slightly if you need to for balance. Looking straight ahead. Inhaling, reach your arms up over your head. Maybe deepen the lunge. Remember, strong core here. Rib cage in. Think hips parallel to the front of the mat. Left knee and foot in alignment with each other. Option to straighten the back leg. Take a deep inhale here, lifting your arms up. As you exhale, make fists and draw your elbows and fists back. Inhale, lift, and exhale down. And lift, and down. Keep moving your arms, bringing your hands down every time you exhale. Lift them up as you inhale. Couple more times. One last time. Inhale, lift, and exhale, bring your hands down. Maybe deepen the lunge. Breathe. Lower both hands to the mat on either side of the left foot. Step back to plank pose and breathe. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Imagine you can lift your wrists up off the mat. Try to keep your wrists light on the mat so they don't get too much weight on them. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, come forward to plank pose. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale, use your core to come back up and back to downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, forward to plank pose. Inhale. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Exhale, come forward. Just a couple more times. And back. Just move through here, moving every time you exhale to the other position. And last time, pause in downward facing dog. And here, work towards straightening one knee, maybe both. See if the heels will soften towards the mat while keeping your spine fully straight. Bend your knees and walk your feet forward to your hands. And fold forward. Inhaling, reach your arms out to the side. Slowly rise to standing. Arms up over your head. Palms together at your heart. And release. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold. Place your hands on your hips. Have your feet either hip distance apart or closer. Bend your knees and then lift up into a seated position. Nice straight spine, shoulders back. If your knees are passing your toes and you can't see your toes, set your hips back further, coming up if you need to. And breathe. You might notice some engagement in your quads, but also use your core to support your spine here. Toes are soft. Can you sit more deeply? Option to bring palms together at your heart. Maybe sit more deeply again. Relax your jaw, your shoulders, and breathe. Couple more breaths. As you exhale, fold forward. Inhale halfway up. And exhale, fold. Inhale your arms out to the side. Slowly rise to standing. Arms up over your head. Palms together at your heart. And lower your hands. If you're facing the front of the mat, turn and face the side. And take your feet nice and wide. So start with your hands on your hips. This is what I would call the gentlest version of this. And take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, engaging the core, fold forward halfway. Keep your spine nice and straight. Inhale here. As you exhale, engaging your core, lift back up to standing. Inhale and exhale, fold halfway. Inhale and exhale back up. If you'd like a little bit more challenge, reach your arms out to the side. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, fold halfway. Inhale, exhale back up. Third option is reach your arms up over your head. Inhale here. Exhale, fold halfway. Inhale and exhale back up. Inhale and exhale down. Keep going, moving to the other position every time you exhale. Arms can be wherever is right for you today. Be honest with yourself. There's no right or wrong way to do it. The only wrong way to do it is if you don't listen to what your body needs. And fold. Couple more times. And the next time you're folded halfway, pause here. And then lower both hands to the mat, or you can place your hands on a block and let your head and shoulders dangle towards the mat. And breathe. Bend your left knee and walk your hands over to your left foot. Press that right foot firmly into the mat. The left heel may lift, or it might not. And then walk your hands back to center. Bend your right knee as you walk your hands over to your right foot, pressing that left foot firmly into the mat. Breathe here. Walk your hands back to center. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side. Come all the way to standing. Lift your arms up. Exhale, palms together at your heart. And release. Walk your feet together and come onto the front of your mat. Inhale, reach your arms up over your head. Exhale, fold forward. Engaging your core as you inhale, come halfway up. Think shoulders back. Soft shoulders, firm engagement in the core. Exhale, fold. Inhale your arms out to the side. Slowly rise to standing, lifting your arms up. Palms together at your heart. And release. Staying at the front of your mat, you can walk your feet hip distance apart. Just step your right foot behind you just a foot or so, just a small step. Keeping the left knee bent, bring your palms together at your heart and look straight ahead, face the front of your mat. Now put almost all your weight in your left foot, just resting those right toes gently behind you. Remember the engagement of the core. That helps support your spine, keeping your spine straight. Play with lifting the toes of your right foot up off the mat and immediately flexing that foot. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you just keep tapping the toes as you need to for balance. Focus your gaze on the wall or the floor in front of you. Standing knee soft. Or if you wish to go further, keep that right foot flexed, bending at the left hip. Fold forward as the right leg comes up behind you. If you come out of the pose, that's okay, just come back in. Option to reach your arms forward in Warrior 3. Breathe. Make any adjustments you need. Then slowly lower that foot as you come up and lower your arms. And now placing most of the weight in your right foot, gently tap the left toes behind you. Right knee is slightly bent, palms together at your heart center. Focus your gaze, right knee slightly bent. You might keep the left toes on the mat here, or play with lifting the left toes up and flexing that left foot. Maybe on this side you stay right here. Or hinge at the right hip. As you fold forward, lift the left leg up. In Warrior 3. Option to extend the arms forward. Breathe here. And slowly come on back up and lower your foot and lower your arms. Inhale, lift your arms up over your head. Slowly exhale as you fold forward. Breathe. Walk your hands to the outside of your right foot for a gentle twist. And then back to center and over to the outside of your left foot. And back to center. Bend your knees and come on to a seated position. So for the next pose, we're coming into Purvattanasana, I think it's called. Purvattanasana, yes. It's inclined plank. So start with your knees bent, feet on the floor. Place your hands on the mat behind you so your fingers are facing your hips. If this is really uncomfortable for your wrists, you can turn your fingers out to the side, or if need be, you can have your fingertips facing the back with the wrists forward. But ideally, have your fingertips facing forward and then bring your elbows in. You're opening your chest. So place your feet and hands firmly on the mat. Look straight ahead. And pressing your hands into the mat, mostly your knuckles and fingertips rather than wrists. Take a deep inhale here. When you exhale, lift your hips up off the mat. Breathe. And slowly lower down. Take a deep inhale and exhale, lift. Think of engaging that core as you slowly lower back down. You can continue like this, lifting your hips up and down, or if you wish to challenge yourself a little bit more, lift your hips up. And then as you lower them, don't quite touch the mat with your hips, and then come right back up and down and up and down, either touching your hips if you need to or not. And then now lower your hips all the way down to the mat. Circle your wrists. Go both directions. And come onto your back and gently hug your knees to your chest. Maybe rocking side to side or circling your knees. If you're circling your knees, pause and go the other direction. And then come back up to a seated position. We'll do inclined plane again. So bring your hands behind you in whatever position feels best for you. So option 1 is to continue with the knees bent. For a little more engagement, straighten your legs. Keep your elbows working towards each other. When you're ready, press your heels into the mat, press your hands into the mat, and lift your hips right up off the mat. Point your toes. See how high you can lift your hips up. Hold here. Slowly lower down. If you can, don't let your hips quite touch the mat. And then lift back up. And down. If you need to, you can touch the mat, but try to do it without. And then back up. And down. Just a couple more times. Just looking straight ahead. Get those toes towards the mat. And then finally come on down. Circle those wrists. Maybe stretch your fingers and make fists. Move your hands however you need to. And slowly come onto your back and softly hug your knees to your chest. Maybe staying still or rocking side to side. And now staying on your back, let your arms rest on the mat, maybe in a T position or just by your side, a few inches away from your body. Knees bent. Lift your feet up off the mat so your legs are in an L-shaped position. Press your low back into the mat. Engage that core. So option 1 is to stay right here. You're already engaging the core. It's a nice, safe way to protect your spine here. Or option 2, straighten your right leg and back. And now straighten the left leg and back. Straighten the right leg and back and left and back. The easiest way, the gentlest way to do it is to straighten that right leg, and it's fairly high up and back. The harder you want to make it, the lower you straighten the straight leg without touching the mat. Just keep alternating left and right, whatever version is best for you. Just practice with a satya mind. Be honest with yourself. Maybe you can push yourself today, but maybe the right thing is to go a little gentle. Just notice the engagement in the core. We'll just do this a few more times. Straightening one leg and then the other. And last one. And then softly hug your knees to your chest. Either circling your knees or rocking side to side, or maybe staying fully still. If you're circling your knees, pause and go the other direction. And then hug your right knee to your chest and lower your left foot to the mat. Or for a deeper stretch, stretch that left leg and straighten it onto the mat. Now hug the left knee into the chest, lowering the right foot to the mat, or option to straighten the right leg. Bring both knees to center. Place your hands behind your knees. Rock along your spine and come on up to a seated position. Place your hands on the mat. Coming into tabletop. Inhaling, arch your back, open your chest and belly. Exhale, lift your spine and round. And now walk your hands one hand forward so the wrist of each hand starts roughly where the fingers were a second ago. You're just walking your hands one hand forward. Tuck your toes, lift your knees up off the mat, and lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. We're just going to stretch it out. Think of lifting your hips up high, up and back, energetically pushing your hands forward away from you. Start with your knees bent. Just let your spine and arms straighten here. And then maybe straighten one leg, maybe the other. Just stretching your spine and legs and arms. And breathe here. Walk your feet forward to your hands and fold forward. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side. Slowly come on to standing. Arms up over your head. Palms together at your heart. And release. You can take your feet just about as wide as your hips are, slightly wider. Reach your arms up over your head. With your left hand, hold on to your right wrist. Extend your right arm up. Let your hips roll to the right, hands to the left. And back to center and switch sides. Right hand on left wrist. Extend your left arm up. Hips to the left, hands to the right. And back to center. Release your hands. Inhaling, lift your arms up. Exhale, fold. Breathe. Energetically sending your hips up higher. And then as you exhale, fold a little deeper. Bend your knees and come on to a seated position. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your hips open wide. You might start with your legs in a diamond shape, so your feet are away from your knees. It's a little bit easier on your lower back. Or you can, if your back feels healthy, you can bring your feet in a little closer to you. For some people, it's more comfortable to sit on a block here. You can also start with your hands on the mat behind you if your hips are feeling tight, or walk your hands forward, grabbing maybe the shins, the ankles, perhaps the outside of the feet, and sending your chest forward. Breathe here. Let your knees feel heavy away from you, as if you could work towards getting your knees to touch the mat. Maybe round your back and let your head dangle in the direction of your toes. Just breathe, soften your jaw, your cheeks. Think of letting go. And then slowly come on back up. Straighten both your legs out in a V shape. So your feet are away from you. Reach under each thigh and internally rotate the muscles, your thighs, spreading the sit bones. Maybe here you start with your hands on the mat behind you, and with your hands behind you, you push your chest forward. Or maybe you walk your hands forward here. Just practice in the best way that serves your body, that helps you open a little bit more without overdoing it. But there's a bit of effort. You're giving your body an invitation to open a little wider. Couple more breaths. And then slowly come on up. Bring your legs together. Bend your left leg, left foot on the inside of the right leg. Cross that left foot over the right. With your right arm, hug your left knee. Or, if it feels okay, lift your right arm up and cross the elbow to the outside of the left knee. It just makes for a slightly deeper twist. Either way. And then take a deep inhale here, and as you exhale, reach your left arm out to the side and place it on the mat behind you. Gently twisting to the left. Without forcing, just think of softening into the twist. And then come on back to center. Straighten your left leg and place the right foot on the mat. Cross that right foot over the left. With your left arm, either hug that knee or lift your left arm up and cross the elbow to the outside of the right knee. Reach your right arm out to the side and gently twist to the right, placing the right hand on the mat behind you. One more breath. And gently come on back to center. Uncross your legs, both feet on the mat. Slowly roll onto your back. Lift both feet up off the mat. Keep the knees bent. Now take the knees wide and bring the soles of the feet together. Slide your hands down your shins as far as you can. Maybe you just reach your shin somewhere. Maybe you grab your ankles, maybe the outside of your feet. Keep the soles of your feet together and push your knees away from you. Think of drawing your feet towards you as you push your knees away from you. Feel your spine fully resting on the mat, supported by the mat beneath you. You're welcome to stay right here in Supta Baddha Konasana, or if you wish to have a little more engagement with your hands, pull your feet towards you, and then using your core and using your feet almost as a lever, lift your head and shoulders right up off the mat and look straight ahead. Or stay in the other version. Pulling your feet towards you. Breathe. And then slowly lower down. And with each hand holding each foot, lift each foot up so the soles of your feet are facing the ceiling. Your knees are wider than your shoulders. You're welcome to stay here or rock side to side in Happy Baby, Anandasana. And breathe. Start to relax, slowing down. And then release your feet and lower your feet to the mat. Keep your knees bent as we come into a gentle twist. Arms out to the side. Slide your hips to the right and bring the feet together. Let your knees roll to the left. Maybe your gaze stays and looks over your left arm. Or maybe you prefer to turn your gaze towards your right arm. Eyes can be open or closed. Gently bring your knees back to center. Slide your hips to the left, bringing your feet together. Let your knees roll to the right. Gaze either looking over your right arm or left. Eyes open or closed. I like to end the practice with a twist because it helps neutralize our energy, helps us relax and slow down. And gently come on back to center. And the next pose is Shavasana, so if you want a blanket or eye pillow or sweater, get whatever you need. Maybe a bolster for under your knees. And just before we come into Shavasana, straighten each leg and reach your arms up over your head. Stretch your whole body. Stretch both your arms and legs. Maybe one arm and leg together, and then the other. Just give yourself a full big stretch and breathe. And then slowly, when you're ready, make any adjustments you need to be fully comfortable. Arms resting on the mat a few inches away from your body. Feet maybe as wide or wider than your hips. And think of your breath. Softening your gaze or maybe closing your eyes. Allow your breath to be luxurious and long and slow and relaxed. Relaxing your jaw, your shoulders, your arms, your whole body. And simply let go and rest in Shavasana. Allow your breath to deepen. Softly move your fingers and toes. Gently move your arms and legs. Stretching your arms up over your head. Stretch your whole body. When you're ready, softly hug your knees to your chest. Maybe your eyes are still closed here. And slowly make your way to your right side. When you're ready, come up to a comfortable seated position. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.